Do it for exposure!
Now these topics are not easy to cover, and although there's a general agreement amongst the brothers and sisters on the front line about these topics, the issues we tackle can be approached from many different angles. So keep in mind, sometimes people say some shit to get artists to work for free. But instead of dwelling on what these phrases have become, here at FMC, we want to take back these phrases, flip the script, and reclaim the power of why we do what we do, and how we gain more possibilities in the process. For every move, there is a counter. But at FMC, we never want to make it about one measure, because ultimately, it's up to you. So I'll share my views to provoke the conversation, but you'll also hear from lots of different pros, from lots of different fields, to help supply you with a more balanced ration to keep it moving. Did you know that you can get exposure and paid at the same time? It's true. If you're working on professional gigs, there's no reason for a client to say it's for exposure. Kind of goes without saying. Now, sometimes you work on something for a long time, and you get paid, but it never gets published, but you get paid. Real companies always have a budget in place.
If you get a call from a producer from a studio that has a lot of money and they're asking you to do free work for exposure, don't do it, because they have the money to pay you.
Well, you know, when I first came out here, I made it into a Disney training program, and that's what lured me out to the West Coast from the Midwest of the U.S., from Kansas City. At that time, you know, there was no such thing as not getting paid.
Now I know I've done a lot of development work, got paid for it, and it never seen the light of day. And it'll happen to you too. It's kind of the name of the game, but it's still seen by a lot of people. People who are counting on you to make them look good. People who can, and probably will, get you more paid work. Especially if you did your best. And also chose to work with some credible people.
It just happens. It just does. The better you get, the more people are compelled to find some sort of way of working with you.
Someone's eyes is going to get on it and they're going to be able to see it. And you never know, it might be a producer, a director, or someone who's looking for something.
At the end of the day, paid work always gets you exposed to more paid work.
They want to be exposed to what you have to show.
With that said, there's a lot of professionals out there investing their time for the bigger picture, which includes doing it for exposure. Because sometimes it can work in the long run when you expose yourself correctly. Wait.
I think every artist has had that moment in their career where they work for exposure, where they'll tend to feel the need to get their name out there. They feel like I don't have enough media importance that people know who I am, so they'll hire me, so they feel the pressure. And I understand that.
Check out the Mission 1 video I supplied in the link below, where we first start this conversation. We covered how the NFL performers don't get paid and do it purely for exposure, because an advertisement campaign on an international scale like that can really pay off. That kind of exposure is very powerful. I would even say influential. And let's look at the everyday ways creators work for exposure all the time. For instance, bands and artists, they do live events, they do competitions in hopes to be exposed and to establish an audience. And although the idea behind all of it is to get paid, it doesn't always work that way. And if you're starting out new, sometimes you just need to get the process going. And if you've been doing it for a long time, it's all about keeping your name and the art alive. As they say, it takes 20 years to be an overnight success.
For me, it doesn't matter how much I get paid to do certain things. You could pay me $1, you could pay me $5,000. I'm still going to put the same amount of effort into it, because for me, it's all about the art and the passion about it.
Art shows and events, they're great exposure. You get to meet people, shake the hands, start relationships, and then eventually sell your content.
As you're sharing your creative statement, the better you get, the more compelled people are to give you money for what you're doing. It's like a law of nature.
It's a process to build your market. Sometimes you gain some, sometimes you lose some, and sometimes you start all over again. Sometimes you gotta pay to play. That shit sucks, but you gotta do it. And some people become really successful as a result. Now, I'm not saying it's fair or right, it just is. It's important to know your value, what you're aiming for, and having goals.